Welcome to Talking in Common, a podcast of all things lifestyle, family, relationships, well-being, kids and culture. This is not a how-to, but an insight into the lives of ourselves and others and how we all manage to get by. Hosted by myself, Kate Gadinsky, and my co-host, Sophie Panton. Take a listen and let's find out what we all have in common.
Well, look, I'm in a hot minute. Love.
Good. I'm excited to be, well, we keep saying this, we're not back.
Well, we are back.
We're semi-back. We're back, baby.
Now. We're back, baby. We're back right now.
You're going to be back with a baby soon.
Oh, my God. Talking about back, baby. We are here with a little update for you guys today because it has been a while. Life has got the better of us. We've been busy. I've been very busy growing a new baby. And Kate's been very busy with life and 3 kids. We're actually in the same room today, but we sit far apart from each other because we still haven't quite figured out like the reverb of the microphones. And
There's a fair bit of reverb going on in my headphones, but hopefully you guys can't hear any of that.
yeah, we can deal, but hopefully it's nice, smooth listening for you guys. So it is nice to be back. You know, I can't even remember where we finished up at the end of last season or what we were even talking about. I feel like I've lived 10 lives since then.
Yeah, I think, when we haven't released an episode since like last December. So that is a couple of months. Yeah, a lot's happened since then. You were gearing up to give birth.
I'm weeks away from having my 3rd child.
I love it. Actually, one of the last episodes we recorded, obviously it wasn't maybe the last one or two because you'd announced your pregnancy, but that you were pregnant and I was saying there are no babies in tummies and you were in fact very, very much on your way to having your 3rd baby.
Well, I wasn't very much. It was super early.
Yeah, but like the sperm had met the egg, babe, and there was a baby growing inside you.
I was fertilised.
I don't know how you could look at me and not admit it.
Well, it's so funny. We did share this little snippet on Instagram, and if you now know that that's what I was thinking, you can see it written all over my face.
Oh, my
God.
God.
Funny. But actually a friend had said to me, you should share it with Kate on a recording or like, I can't remember how it came about, but someone said like, you know, I suppose if I got pregnant or something, you know, you should share.
Are you saying you've told someone before me?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, no, I was so early. I don't even know if I'd told Aiden yet. And that's maybe why I had hesitated whether I should say it. It was really early. It was like I had just found out like days before and
You were freaking out a bit.
I was only a few weeks in. It's like super duper early. I had definitely not mentally like accepted it yet.
You were sitting there like listening to me talk to you about the thick of being, you know, at home with a newborn again.
Honestly, the thick of the postpartum. Yeah. Anyway, on my way over to you that day to do that recording, I was like, should I just say it on the recording? Like, you know, the genuine response would be so good recorded, but it just felt too impersonal. I needed to tell you in private, my love.
I know. I would feel like you should tell me before we share it with like a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But weirdly enough, and I'm not just saying this now because I said to you at the time, that day when I was also driving to meet you to do the recording, in my brain, I said, Soph is pregnant.
You have an instinct like that. You always say that. You said that about someone the other day. You're like, is so-and-so pregnant? I was like, yes. How did you know? You're like, I just looked at them. I could tell.
And it's not like, I mean, I knew that you were maybe thinking about having a 3rd baby, but it's not like we'd been talking. You're like, maybe I think I could be pregnant this month. Like there was none of that. So I really just had a 6th sense. Anyway, moving on. Otherwise we'll ramble about this forever.
It was hard not to mention it, but yeah, so funny. I was like, yeah, no babies in tummies over here. Anyway, there was. Now there's a big baby in the tummy. Let me give you a little lips. Whoops. Look at that baby.
Holy moly.
Oh, to be pregnant. So we always have these like great ideas, like, you know, let's talk about this topic or this stage of our life on the podcast next, and then we end up keep going back to pregnancy and postpartum because we both keep having fucking babies.
Oh my God. I know. We're like, are we going to run out of things to talk about on the podcast soon? Whoop, here's another baby. Woo, you have a baby. I'll have a baby. Now you have a baby. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, babe. You might go for number 4.
No, this is absolutely my 3rd and final. No doubt about it. I feel I already feel complete. This baby is not even born yet, but I already feel complete with 3 children. And I'm sure between the two of us, 6 children is plenty, and that will do. But, you are, I'm going to say you're infamous now for, never say never. You've said it once before and then, whoopsies, here comes another one.
Insert baby.
Mm.
All right. Well, let's get into it, I reckon. Otherwise, we will ramble.
Well, I'd love to hear from you about your experience now with 3 kids, because on that train of thought, you were done with 2, right?
Yeah.
Like if you
Well,
go
I
back
thought
a
I was
few
done with
years-
2. I was
Yeah.
pretty done with 2, yeah.
Yeah, when you had 2 when you had 2 little kids, you were like, 2 is what we're having. 2 is our family, that's us. But, obviously there was a little internal inkling or instinct there that wasn't quite done. But now that you have 2 school-aged kids, and I know that you did have this, conscious thought about the gap between the ages of your kids. What's it like going back to the baby stage now that your other 2 are actually like in a totally different phase at school,
We have actually skipped what we have in common, but we will come back to that in the episode.
Oh, no, let's do it. What do we have in common?
Well,
I know, it's baby making.
Baby making.
Duh.
But I was also going to say, and I thought maybe something funny could come from this, because you being pregnant, and pregnant definitely can make you be more forgetful, not you, but people in general, I've found, forgetting something. Because last week, this is very unlike me, I forgot to pick up my 2 kids. I like to think I'm like fairly organised. Like we've spoken about this before. Like I'm quite organised, maybe a bit chaotic sometimes, but I still feel like I'm quite organised with that stuff, anything to do with the kids. Anyway, I assumed they had dancing because they do it this particular day after school, and it's at school, so they go straight from when school finishes to dancing, and then you pick them up at 4:30.
Yeah.
But what I neglected to remember was every term when these extracurricular activities start again, they never happen on the first week of term.
Yeah.
I get a missed call from a parent who, not really someone that I ever really speak to. Like, I think we've only got each other's numbers because our kids have had a couple of play dates, but we never speak on the phone. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And ring her back. She's like, oh, hi, how are you? I'm like, oh, I'm good. How are you? She's like, no, I'm just with Nina and she can't seem to find you. I was like, oh my God. I was very cozy at home. I was prepping dinner. Otis was in the high chair having a snack. I was like, this is great. I'll leave in like half an hour to get the kids.
Not all this extra time.
Look, in fairness, there was a few other parents that forgot to. They weren't the only ones, because then when I'm rushing to get to school because the traffic's horrendous, the school rings me. I'm like, yes, I know. I forgot.
Then you know you're really in trouble when you get a call from the school or a text from the school or something. Of all people, because you're like, got to leave an hour early to get there on time, so I'm not that late parent. Don't want to leave my kids waiting. I'm the opposite. I'm like, leave it, the last stroke of the last minute to just scrape it on time to get there. That you would have felt so guilty.
Oh,
I can imagine.
I know. I really actually did.
And what did Nina say?
Look, Lulu,
You've got a baby to blame these things on now.
I
know?
I don't.
Like,
Lulu
been one of those days.
a bit more concerned than Nina. I mean, they ended up being fine. Like one of their friends waited with them. There was other kids.
Yeah.
But Lulu was like, you forgot about it. I was so worried. I'm like, were you?
The drama.
But because they're used to me, pretty much being there on time,
Yeah.
they're like, whoa, where is Mum?
Yeah.
Anyway, have you been forgetful lately?
Oh, look, I can't remember.
Can we just leave it at that then?
Yes.
Have you ever forgotten to pick up your kids? Not yet. Early days.
I don't know if I've ever gotten to totally pick them up, but yeah, like I can't even remember.
Don't judge me.
So, yeah, absolutely no judgment here. Don't worry about that. I think you're a super mama. Everyone, we all are.
You're a super mama too. All right, back on track. What were you asking me about?
I can't remember. I legitimately
I
can't.
think you were asking me now, what's it like going back to having a baby?
Oh, yeah, going back to the baby phase after you kind of moved on, you kind of had yourself back a bit. You even used to brag about it, because I was like having little babies and your kids are a bit older.
Yeah.
And so you were kind of like, one day when you're not breastfeeding anymore and you're not pregnant anymore, we could party again, we could do fun things, we could do stuff without the kids. And I'm like, yeah, one day. But now you're back.
I'm like well back into baby world. Well, look, I'm not going to lie. I don't want to freak you out in this episode. 3 kids is a lot of kids.
Wow.
But I think, as you've mentioned before, a lot of people have said to you, it's just a bit more chaotic because you've already done that jump from 1 to 2, right? That's 1 to 2 kids is hectic. 2 kids is a lot. 3 kids is even more, but it just makes it more chaotic. And I actually read something the other day, and like the lady in this article was saying something about like how 3 kids was like the amplification of parenthood. I'm like,
Okay.
that kind of like makes sense. Like everything's a bit more kind of heightened in a way. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it's louder, it's busier, it's all that stuff. Like your anxiety can be a bit more heightened because you're like, am I doing enough for kid number 1? Am I giving the time to kid number 2? And then kid number 3, I'm calling them kid 1, 2, and 3 because my husband and I do this. He always forgets the names. You know, am I being like the parent that I want to be for all of them? But in saying all of that, like that mum guilt comes with 1 child, 2 child, 3 children. Equally, it's just as awesome with like the extra love and the fun and, you know, the memories that you start to make as your little complete family.
Yeah.
At 5, which you will be soon. So, but jumping back into the newborn stage when you are kind of out of it, or as you said, you get yourself back, like it's a lot because you forget a lot of things.
Has it been a bit weird? Like you're like, wow, this is, or have you just sort of slipped back into it?
I think you slip back into it. I definitely feel like I felt more relaxed this time, like with the different stages. Like he's nearly 10 months. I feel like with the different stages, whether it's like, you know, a shit few weeks of sleep or the really early wake ups, you're starting to teeth, the mess, all that kind of stuff. I feel like by number 3, you really know that it is just a phase.
Yeah. And you've just accepted it.
You accepted how fleeting it is, but it's kind of like, I think maybe because I had that gap, you realize how special those small little moments, like the really mundane stuff, which is fucking hard, you know, as we always talk about day after day, it's repetitive. But those tiny little moments of them like looking at you or grabbing your finger or those feeds in the middle of the night, like I sound so cliche, but like I already miss it.
Yeah, makes it all worth it. Helps you get through, doesn't it?
But you know,
help you get through.
That's not to take away that it isn't like full on. Like having little babies and toddlers and older kids is hard work.
Yeah. And how's the dynamic between your oldest and youngest?
Well, I think the trickiest thing that I'm finding with them is that, which I think we did speak about in a past episode, is the hardest thing I find with the dynamic with them all is balancing all their different needs because they are in different stages. So I almost feel like I need like myself to be like cloned 3 times to give them all what they need and to give them like the best version of me, I guess.
Yeah, and almost like split your like personality. You need like, you know, that more mature, emotional presence for Nina, your oldest. You know, she needs that sort of support. And then you need the cuddly, nurturing mum for the baby and, you know, the stage that Lulu's at in between. You need like all these different versions of yourself at all these different stages through the day. And it's like switching between them would be kind of a lot.
I feel like the age that Nina's at, it's almost like those pre-hormonal kind of like she's still young, but like you notice a big change I have at this sort of stage that she's at. So you're right, like she needs that. They all need connection, but she needs that connection. She needs that emotional support. She needs me to be able to have like, you know, really good conversations with her and to give her that time and just spend time with her. Whereas like Lulu, who's 5, like she's just started prep and she's like learning to read and she wants me to sit and do that all with her and give her my undivided attention.
Yeah.
But then, and also like she's still into like imaginative play.
Yeah.
And you do that for 5 minutes and like Otis has crawled off and like pulled a pot plant off the thing and like eating china bowls out of the cupboards. And it's just like, where do you put your attention? So that like I'm getting into a bit of a better groove with that. But that I do struggle with because then you just feel guilty. Even though we shouldn't, because I feel like you try and put whatever need is most important
at that time. Yeah.
But that balancing act with 3, I find quite tricky. But there's pros as well with the kids being a bit older, like they're a bit more self-sufficient.
Totally. So even with Honey at being 4 now, I'm like being able to see the change in her self-sufficiency or sort of independence. I'm like, this is such a game changer. The fact that she can just like go and get herself dressed, not to say that she does it every morning without me asking a million times, but the days that she just goes and gets dressed and I don't have to help her do it, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Or like she can just go and brush her teeth or she can eat her own dinner.
Yeah. You know she's going to be okay for a period of time.
Yeah, and that too, exactly. Like I know that if she's in the other room playing or if she's, she can entertain herself, I don't have to constantly have eyes on her. So there's
She'll be
definitely
great age too, I reckon, because she's a little bit younger, but Lulu was about 4 when Otis was born, and she really wants to be involved and help.
yeah,
Yes, the novelty wears off, but she is still really intrigued.
yeah,
Whereas like Nina's age, she's super helpful and she's the same, wants to help, but also she's kind of got her own things going on. Like
yeah,
she's really focused on, they start to become really focused on like their friends at that age.
yeah.
It's quite interesting. But yeah, so yeah, it's a lot, but I feel like it's just different.
So do you think this time you must?
It's different.
Of course, it's different. Every time it's different. Are you going to give away and sell and get rid of all your baby stuff this time? Or are you going to cling on to it a little bit longer just in
I've
case?
still got all the tiny little newborn like clothes in the cupboard.
Well, keep some of them. That's sentiment. That's sentimental. But I remember, because you were so far out of the baby stage, you were like, I literally have not one thing.
No, nothing.
You'd like dispersed it amongst all of our friends, and everyone was like, "You want it back?"
I've got half of Otis's stuff carted up now, bassinets and bits and pieces.
Yes, which a lot of it you've got. Yeah, thank you.
But I think we are very much done. I have to say, like too much information, but my period was really late. It's not like fully regular again since having.
We haven't spoken about that. At what stage did you get it back this time?
Really early, and I
actually, I remember you did tell me
about
that.
8 or 9 weeks. I was
that's
early. It sucks. It really sucks. But it was really late, and I started to really go, oh my God, like 4 children, I can't do 4 children. Like, maybe I could do. No, I can't. No, I can't. No, this can't happen. Oh my God. Anyway, then my period came and it is all fine. And I need to learn to be more sensible.
Yeah.
Enough about me. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you and what you're about to embark on. Sounds very...
Wow. Yeah, I'm just trying at the moment to get my head back in this birth space. And it's funny because we have been going through some old snippets and old episodes of our recordings. And we recorded a lot of episodes when I was pregnant with my last child. And I am feeling all these same feelings. I'm like really sinusy and puffy and heavy breathing and, all these like heavy breathing conversations that we had over a recording that we had to like mute my heavy breathing out. So we'll probably have to do that again today. I'm very conscious of it. Actually, I was at this little like playground shop farm thing yesterday and I didn't even realise. I was having a conversation on the phone and then hung up the phone and I went, and this lady next to me, she was like, oh, are you okay?
She's obviously been listening to you. You're like, I'm just breathing normally. Did I do something weird?
I was like, I'm totally fine. I'm just really pregnant and heavy breathing. She was like, oh, okay, just checking that you're okay. I was like, oh, God, is it that loud? Is it that obvious?
It's hard to get in that headspace though, isn't it? Like I feel like you spend so much time thinking I need to get in the birth headspace.
Yeah. I had a really lovely conversation with my midwife the other day. There's been a lot going on in my life recently and it's just by chance and by timing, but things have been a bit overwhelming, a bit heavy. There's been sickness between the kids and myself and being at this late stage in pregnancy, everything's just felt like a lot. And I haven't really been coping that well with it all, to be honest, as you know, we've talked about it. But I was like having a little teary when I was in the appointment with my midwife the other day and I just said to her, like, I have this like almost fear and anxiety and guilt about the fact that I've neglected this pregnancy a bit and I've neglected myself in preparing myself for labour and I'm just feeling really overwhelmed with it all and don't have the time or energy to focus on it and I'm just not sure how I'm going to get through it this time and it's making me really nervous and apprehensive about giving birth instead of feeling positive and empowered about going into it. And she was sort of saying that even the fact that consciously I'm feeling those things about it, she was like, that's still you doing the work. Don't forget that you have done this before. You've done the work.
You've already done the work. Yeah.
Yeah, you've done your research, you've had your experiences, you know what you're in for, you know what your power is in this position and all of this sort of stuff. And it was just so nice and reassuring for her to say that, like, don't put this extra pressure on yourself that you have to get yourself to a point where you feel mentally ready. Like the fact that you're just consciously thinking about it and aware of it, like that's already you mentally preparing for it. And I like started crying and I was like, huh?
Cry now as you're talking
No,
about
no,
it.
no, I'm
You
not
just
crying
wanna-
now. No,
It's okay if you are.
I just, no, I'm not. I mean, I'm so emotional at the moment. I cry most days. But she did make me cry. And I was just like, oh, thank you. So I needed to hear that because I think just like, when you're pregnant with your third, like life is just busy. You don't get a lot of time for yourself to think about it and to prepare. And so I just really appreciated that reassurance from her and I just really needed to hear it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think what she said is such a good point because you have done this before, and although every birth experience is different, like you've done the work. Like the mind and the body is such an amazing thing. Like once you're in it, you'll be in it.
Yeah, almost just need to go with it this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a little bit like when you haven't done it before, it's a little bit like ignorance is bliss in a way. And I can say that because I'm lucky I've had really great birth experiences. But now that I know, I'm fucking terrified.
The pain. But it's
oof.
but think about it, the end of that, you get to meet your baby, but you have to go through a really freaking hard marathon.
I'm also terrified about what happens on the other side of it. I'm like,
well,
really
that's one thing you don't know. It's more that, like, this is the thing, and we spoke about this before, we get so fixated, and fair enough, and I was exactly the same third time out, so fixated on the actual birth and what it's going to be like because like how hard it is and how much of I feel like I always use the word journey, but really how much of a journey just your birth is. But we should kind of be more focused on what happens after. But I feel like we just can't get there when you're at this stage of pregnancy because you're like, when's it going to happen? What is it going to be like?
Yeah.
What am I going to be like?
Yeah. Well, it's the same. It's like now that I know what I'm in for, you can't help but think about the what ifs, about the negatives as well, because you know how bad, like how tough and how challenging the downs can be.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, even just like you were talking about before, those special little fleeting moments with your baby, they all make it worth it. And it's such a beautiful, wonderful, like, experience in life. It's absolutely what we live for.
It's hard to think about, though, when you're in it.
But it's just hard to think, and just, when you're just going along with life and you have two other children to consider and a family and a partner and, life stresses and all of that sort of stuff, I'm like, oh, what about post-birth recovery and the potential mastitis and the feeding and the sleeplessness and, unfortunately, I think just because times have been challenging for me lately as well, I'm sort of stuck a little bit in this like, oh, this is going to be so hard. And I'm finding it hard to just be like, this is, everyone says like, oh, you're about to have your baby, how exciting. And I'm always like,
terrified.
And yet I'm so, I'm so blessed to be having this baby and I'm so lucky. And even though this pregnancy came as a little bit of a surprise, it's the biggest blessing in life, to be pregnant and to have babies. So, in complete honesty, that's kind of where I'm at with it all. That's what I'm feeling. But it's imminent. It's happening. It's coming. Like, I'm a couple of weeks away. So by the time we actually release this, I might have had the baby.
Yep, potentially.
If anyone's interested, we could do another little bonus ep and another little update ep and
we'll do an update
story.
Yes, definitely have to do
I love
that.
the birth story.
I still wish you'd let me come in and live stream it. That's another story. Just kidding. So how do you feel about, I guess how the dynamics are going to change slightly at home when you have a third baby? Like,
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
I'm just like going to strap in for the ride, but
maybe
I definitely do.
But, like, how is that like something that you feel nervous about, like bringing a third baby in because of how your relationships will change, or are the kids excited? He probably doesn't understand.
No, he doesn't, but I definitely feel like a softness and a tenderness towards him not being my baby anymore. He's been such a snuggly little baby, and it's actually the most beautiful fucking thing. He loves to cuddle my belly. He comes over to me, and he's a real thumb sucker, and it's just like he's a cuddly little thumb sucker. And he comes up to me and he lifts my top up to get the skin of my belly. And he says, "Bubby, Bubby, Bubby," and he leans against me and cuddles into me and sucks his thumb on my belly. And he does it like all the time, multiple times a day, like that's his comfort spot. And it's just the most heartwarming, beautiful thing. And, some days when I'm like, "Oh, get off me, this is annoying," I'm like, "Oh, this is just not going to be, I'm not going to have this belly for much longer.
And
What else is he going to want to cuddle?"
And he'll seem so much more growing up. And
I know. So I feel that towards him and that he's going to be a middle child and all of that sort of
he
thing.
might hug you postpartum, like
Yeah, squeak.
postpartum belly. I mean, Lily does still twirl my hair, so
Yeah. He might be like, "Oh, this is a little softer than it was last week. It's okay, it'll do." But Honey, my daughter, 4-year-old now, she knows exactly what's going on, and that's so cute.
Yeah.
That's really cool. She's like, in her mind, it's a girl called Rosie. She's going to have a shock if it's not a girl and if we don't call it Rosie. But she goes around telling everyone it's a girl called Rosie, and that's what she's got in her mind. And she talks about it all the time. She's like, "Bunny, when the baby just pops out," I'm like,
you can hope, darling.
actually, for the first time the other night, she asked me how the baby just pops.
Oh, they're fun conversations, yeah.
And I've obviously been thinking about it because I'm like, when's that question coming? And in the moment, though, I was like, where do I go? Do I make something up or do I just go with it? I was like, "You know what, babe? It comes out Mummy's vagina."
Oh, no, yeah.
And she goes, "What?" I'm like, I know. But us women, we're amazing. This is how we're designed. This is what we're made to do. And it's amazing. It's just how it works. And she just, she couldn't really get her little head around it. But she was like, "So it comes out your bottom?" And I was like, "Well, no, it comes out your vagina." And she's like, "Oh, it doesn't like nibble a little hole out your tummy and come out?" No, doesn't do that.
Well,
Anyway,
some
we're back
babies
to
come
when the
out
baby
of belly,
pops out.
not belly, but yes, she comes out of my vagina. He.
She. Could be a she. We don't.
Yes, honey, you came out of my vagina.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk like,
Beautiful.
with all of that sort of stuff about her. And now she's, more interested in knowing, like, who my mum is and where I came from and who's, who all the like how all the family works and all of that sort of stuff. So she fully knows what's going on. It's really cute. She always talks about when the baby comes and, that's beautiful. But am I nervous about the dynamic? No, it feels just like it's meant to be. I feel more nervous about how busy it's going to be and, my partner Aiden and I already feel like we're at our capacity. We're both so busy. There's a lot of stress with little kids and trying to balance everything. And we're just like, it keeps going over and over in my head, like all the different scenarios each day, or like just the really little scenarios. Like, okay, how does this scenario play out with a baby? How does this scenario play out with a baby? How does this, so I'm more nervous about that. But the dynamic of the family, I feel like the picture that I had in my mind of having children and having a family before I had kids looked like this.
Yeah.
It looked like having a few kids.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's just absolutely a blessing and meant to be. And I'm excited about that, So, yeah, so that's where I'm at. But I think like we could share so much about what it like everything else that's been going on in the last sort of 6, 8, 10 months since we last recorded an episode. But we really just wanted to give a bit of an update on what we were doing because we're not going to release a whole new season as such. Like, obviously I'm about to have this baby and I need to take some time off to do that and all of that sort of thing. So, but we have been talking about we absolutely love doing this and we miss being behind the mics and we miss connecting with our community and discussing all of the things that, parenting and motherhood and life brings. So we thought we would still stay in touch and do a few bonus episodes, but also share some of the amazing conversations that we've had in the past because they are timeless. They're timeless little pieces of wisdom.
And there's so much stuff like that we haven't, yes, they've been in episodes, but we've had a lot of episodes. We've probably got a lot of new listeners who weren't there for maybe season 1 and 2 and even 3, like, because, I feel like a lot changed in season 4.
Absolutely.
So we've got so many like great little bits that we just want to share with you guys and kind of still be kind of, I guess, in your ears in some way or on your screens, maybe in your ears on your screens while we kind of take a bit of a step back from doing weekly recordings or fortnightly recordings. While Soph has a baby.
Yeah, but we always are discussing the different experiences that this stage of our lives brings and how we can have more connection with a community of mothers and all of that sort of thing. And we've got some really nice ideas of things that we want to work on towards the end of the year. But in the meantime, stay in touch. We will definitely throw a few bonus episodes in there.
Yeah. But the next one, by the time we record it, we will most certainly have a little guest with us.
My gosh, all those days of recording with little Ren and all the nip slips from the feeding. And then it was anxious. And now we've got another one. I just can't believe we're going to have 6 kids between us soon.
It's a lot of kids, hey?
Yeah.
Not a lot of kids.
Yeah.
It's the best though. It's so good. It's fun.
Oh, I love the positivity
and fucking
appetite behind closed teeth. Yeah, it's really is.
It's yeah. Well, my darling, I'm going to say it has the most amazing birthing experience, except I will definitely be speaking to you 300,000 times before then. And I'm with you right now. But yes, I can't wait till we're back here behind the mic, until we're kind of debriefing how you're going with number 3. And
my gosh,
we will be back in your ears soon, everybody.
Yeah, I think today's a really good example of what's going on, because we actually have a meeting to get to, don't we? So we're both checking.
In 11 minutes, and I think it's 15 minutes from here, and I still have to get my stuff organised.
Yeah.
Anyway, we better go.
You got a lot to do. We're preaching to the choir. The people listening to this are no shit, we've got stuff to do too. So we're over and out for now.
Bye.
Bye.